Noswaith dda, good evening and a warm welcome to the National Assembly for Wales and to the Senedd, and thank you so much for coming. Now, I am really pleased there are so many of you here this evening because today marks the end of a very important journey for the 14 mentees on the Women in Public Life Development Scheme. It has surely been a challenging but very interesting and rewarding journey, I'm told. Sounds like very hard work to me, that has provided them with confidence, networks and opportunities to make the next significant step in their careers and indeed in public life. But what's come across is not just networks for them, but it's networks for all the mentors. How you all never met before, I will never know, because Wales is not that big, so you must be all hiding your light under a bushel somewhere. Anyway, I would like to start by congratulating all of you for the outstanding results that you have achieved, individually and as a group. I know that 11 of you have already applied for positions in public life, being that as a board member or as candidates standing for council or assembly elections, and no doubt the others will follow shortly. And now some of you, in fact most of you in fact, only needed the reassurance that you could do it, and the scheme has certainly provided encouragement and support in abundance. And I think that's what's come across. Incredibly talented, well-qualified women, but just without that little oomph to say, yeah, I can do this. And this scheme is giving them that oomph, which is fantastic. Now, a huge thank you goes to all our mentors, because without your generosity in giving your time and experience to someone else, this scheme could not have succeeded. I was really pleased to hear how well you all bonded over the course of the month and how much you have helped each other, both mentees and mentors. Now, this is something we couldn't have predicted at the beginning, but I'm sure it's made the whole thing very worthwhile. I'm also aware that some of the mentors have extended their expertise to the group and offered to run additional training sessions for free, and that does demonstrate, again, the generosity and commitment to the cause. Now, the scheme would certainly not have succeeded without the organisations that delivered it on our behalf, and Chwarae and Cardiff Business School have done a fantastic job, not only in running a very successful scheme, but in understanding my long-term vision of Wales, where men and women are treated equally. A particular thank you goes to Emma Tamplin from Chwarae for her enthusiasm and dedication. And Emma, could you rise up, please, and just... Thank you very much. I thought you were going to throw mince pies at her for a minute, but okay. But shortly you'll hear from people who have been delivering and involved in the scheme, either as participants or as more experienced people who have offered their time and experience to our mentees. Now, through the scheme and the wider Presiding Officer Women in Public Life campaign, which is known as POWiPL, we have certainly made a difference, but unfortunately the work is not yet done. Many areas still need to be addressed to ensure that future generations of women in Wales are treated fairly and are represented across the board and are, of course, given the same opportunities as men. I'm confident the scheme will inspire mentees themselves to do the same with others. You'll find other less experienced women than you now, women who you come across in the workplace or in your private lives. Please think you are now a very experienced woman and you can perhaps offer them something. So I'd like to invite Shannon Lovell, a mentee on the scheme, and Professor Sheila Hunt, her mentor, to come and give us an insight into their experiences.
I remember Dame Rosemary Butler saying to us, if you're ever asked to do anything as a woman, say yes. So when Emma asked me to do this speech, I thought of Rosemary, and I thought, I have to say yes. So here I am. I clearly remember that my motivation for joining the scheme was to gain confidence. Being a woman from a working class background did affect my self-esteem. Along with hoping to gain confidence, I wanted to dip my toes into political life to see if it was something I'd be interested in. I remember 18 months ago when all the mentees went to Mid Wales to meet our mentors. And it was really a bit like one of my favourite TV programmes, Strictly Come Dancing, when you're waiting to be introduced to your mentor. And before that, we all had to say something about each of us. And for me, Sheila really stood out. And at that stage, I didn't know she was going to be my mentor. And when it was announced, I was absolutely overjoyed. She definitely stood out from the crowd. She's been wonderful, showing great humour, challenging my perceptions of self, helping me identify my key strengths, and above all else, believing in me. The shadowing opportunities have also been instrumental in my personal and professional development. From going to Westminster for the day with the Lord of Finlay to Welsh Assembly for Wales with the CEO Claire Chansey, both inspirational women within their own right. It was during a conversation I had with Claire that I realised I already have a pretty fantastic job where I work at influencing legislation and policy at government level. And I remember Claire saying to me, rather than always striving to be something or somebody, make the best of where you're at now. And I remember thinking, where I'm at now is pretty fantastic. Both women, Alora Finlay and Claire Chansey, said, follow your own star and strive for excellent. Good is never good enough. I'm currently a director for NIAS, a charity that provides advocacy and gives a voice to the voiceless so that they're heard within decision-making processes. I have been so lucky that the CEO, who's here tonight, Christine, has come all the way from Liverpool to be part of these celebrations. And she's another inspirational woman for me that has shown great leadership in our charity. So thank you, Christine. I have learned that women can establish their own management style of leadership. I so enjoyed our finance training with the Welsh Government, which started with some meditation, if you remember. And to be honest, I needed that meditation before and after, because it did it did make my brain do something. And I remember in the POWiPL offices sitting in the Zen room while I contemplated on the responsibility of governance within board meetings. I have learned that I don't really have a good work-life balance. Something that's come up quite a lot is for women, I think we try to do quite a lot, and as the main carers and juggling home and balanced life. I'm lucky that I enjoy my job so much, and it's core of who I am and what I stand for, that it simply doesn't take place between the hours of 9 till 5. I do, however, think it's critical for us to look after ourselves and to nurture each other. If we do not look after ourselves, we cannot help others. I have learned from Marion that we should all do something just for ourselves during some stage of the day. The training has been excellent, from dealing with the media to leadership, building resilience and mental toughness. I have learned the fundamental differences between the Welsh Government and the Welsh Assembly for Wales. And to be honest, before the scheme, I struggled to understand the functions of the difference between the two. So what next? The informal support from all the other women on the course has been invaluable, and I have no doubt that many in this room who already achieve great things will go on to be the AMs and leaders for Wales in their chosen profession. So here in this room, we may have the future Minister for Wales. For me, my dream would to be a CEO of a non-government organisation influencing legislation and policy for the promotion of advocacy and human rights. There are many ways to be involved in political life, and I've learned that it's not necessarily the path of a politician that you have to go down. There's many ways we can influence and make a difference for good. We know women have to work harder to get noticed and go beyond that visible glass ceiling. It's similar for people from all marginalised groups, and our job is to crack open that ceiling and to be role models now, to ensure opportunities are available for all, regardless of gender, class, ethnicity, image, age and sexuality. Even though this is the end of the scheme, it really does feel like it's just the beginning. I feel so much more confident to go for opportunities that come my way. And without making an Oscar speech, I did really want to thank Emma and POWiPL, Cardiff Business School, NIAS for giving me the opportunity to be part of the scheme, Dame Rosemary Butler for believing in the initiative and supporting the women of Wales, and my wonderful mentor, Sheila Hunt, who gave me the gift of confidence. And to all the women here tonight, let's be impatient for change and let's be the very best we can be. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Sharon is the star, okay? I'm just going to tell you a bit of the background, but I'm so proud of Sharon. The first thing that I want to say, I was asked to talk about my experience of being a mentor, and I just wanted to say that it was and continues to be the most enormous privilege. And somebody's got it wrong, because you get far, far more out of being a mentor than being a mentee. And the mentors in the group are some of my new best friends. They are fantastic in the way that they respond and they talk and they support you in the things that you do. So we've just had such a lot of fun, haven't we? And mentoring is all about learning, and it's about learning, and it works both ways. Mentoring works well when the relationship is good, and it's good if it's built on mutual respect. And it's not instant. It takes time to get to that place. And with Sharon, it took at least 5 minutes. So, it was a bit of a long journey. And it's all about learning. I just want to tell you something that Sharon won't admit to publicly. Eventually, after some time, I managed to squeeze her CV out of her. I kept saying, it would help if I could see it, could I see it? And eventually, she sent it to me. She did regret it because she got the red pen treatment and has not quite forgiven me, although at one point she did get a tick and a well done, so she said that was okay. But when I got the CV, I found that this quiet, lacking confidence, do you know she's from a working class background? Yeah, get a life, get on with it. Had the most enormous hidden strength, capability, and a determination to make a difference, but a completely distorted view of her own value. So that was the first hour, I think, working together. And like many women, and particularly on this scheme, she'd been conditioned into believing that she couldn't be that good. And she came up with the stock of reasons why it couldn't work. I have learned so much, and that's what I said at the beginning, and I've learned so much from Sharon about her strong moral compass. And every time I met with her, I used to go, wow, this woman really, really believes in what she believes in. And it's true and it's honest, and she will fight and stand for those who cannot stand for themselves. And I just wanted that in bold letters at the top of the CV. I don't know where it is these days, but that strong moral compass. And the other thing about Sharon was how she uses and started to trust implicitly her intuition to guide her decision making. And good mentoring doesn't make decisions for people. It encourages them to make their own decisions, because there's nobody who knows Sharon better than Sharon, and it certainly wasn't me. So Sharon, I now think, trusts her intuition. She certainly values people, and that can't be bad. And I'm going to really embarrass you now, but here we go. So very few people that I've met have such a well-controlled ego, and Sharon's is brilliant. I'm absolutely full of admiration of her and what the contribution that she's making to the people of Wales, not in public life, but my goodness, in a very, very important area. When Sharon sent me her CV, one of the areas that we were stuck on a bit was she thought she had a degree. Well, yeah, she'd been to university somewhere, but she wasn't quite sure what sort of degree it was and what was its title. And so she ended up writing to Birmingham saying, I think I did a degree at your university at this time. And I think it might have been an MPhil, although, so we did a bit of clarifying on that. But that's just a symbol of how Sharon, there was me, and these are all my degrees, and how important I am. And Sharon said, I think I got one. So we went from there. So together, and this is the important thing, together we learned how to assess people, how to manage difficult people, how to assess situations, and how to consider endless possibilities. I tried very hard to give support and advice and assistance, but most of all, I was at my very, very best when I said very little and listened most. And I'm still practicing, you appreciate that. I tried, and sometimes succeeded, to let Sharon think for herself, decide for herself, and she did. Now, if you read books about mentoring and mentees, it says mentors will often feel a sense of benevolence about their mentees. And I do. It doesn't end tonight. I don't think I'll escape. I think we've got a meeting next week, haven't we? Whatever. So Sharon is an inspiration. She's capable. She's clear thinking. And so to my mind, the scheme has been absolutely superb. It's not ended, and it will continue with a life of its own well beyond December 15. So thank you.
Standing here, I've suddenly reflected, and I know that there was a very, I won't say severe, it probably was a bit severe. The selection process was quite tough. What I hadn't realised is you had to have a big handbag if you're going to get on it. Because if you look around here, I tell you what, Mary Poppins has got nothing on you lot. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Anyway, thank you very much. I would like to congratulate on what you've achieved. And I know it hasn't been easy. But now I'd like to invite Emma Tamplin from Chwaraeteg and Sarah Lethbridge from the Cardiff Business School to say a few words about their involvement.
It's been an absolute honour for Chwaraeteg to be delivery partners alongside Cardiff Business School for the Presiding Officer's Women in Public Life campaign. And right back when we developed the scheme, I think we really underestimated the impact it would have on women's lives. Right from the get-go, we were absolutely blown away by the response to the scheme. We had over 200 women express an interest in the scheme, with over 70 women applying for a place on the scheme. And then we had the real challenge of narrowing that down to just 14 mentees and 14 mentors, which was a real challenge in 3 days. We held interviews across 3 days, and it was crazy. But yeah, I think we found the best 14 that we could find. And the amount of talent on the scheme has been incredible, and these are remarkable women. Each has so much to offer a place in public life, and all burst in with passion and determination to make a difference to our democracy in Wales. I'll never forget the first training session we had with the group. We actually sent them on a leadership hike around Cardiff Bay in October 2014. We must have been bananas because, of course, it's October, it's Cardiff Bay, it's not going to be dry. And in true Welsh style, the heavens opened, it absolutely chucked it down. And I must admit, I was a bit nervous about this. I thought, oh my God, they're going to come back, they're going to absolutely hate us, we'll never see them ever again. But you know what, they came back, absolutely soaking wet through to the bone, singing and just absolutely buzzing about how much fun they had. So then I think it became quite evident that these women were forces to be reckoned with, and I knew we were going to have lots of fun from here on in. It's been pretty special to watch the women on the journey into public life, and I feel like I've been on a journey with them. It's been quite emotional, and yeah, I'm just so proud to be part of the scheme. All mentees have progressed through the scheme in one way or another, whether that's been developing the confidence to apply for a position in public life. Some have achieved promotions at work. All of them have identified their long career plan and goals, which I think right back at the beginning, some weren't quite sure where they wanted to go in public life, but through various training sessions, they've been able to identify their calling and unlock the passion that lies within. And yeah, as Rosemary mentioned earlier about the way that they've supported each other, and the amount of respect that they've shown each other as well has been key to the success of the scheme, I think. They've created their own network, and it's been wonderful to see the solidarity that has been formed in the group. And to coin a phrase from Presiding Officer Dame Rosemary Butler, friends are like wonderbrows. They lift you up, support you, and make you feel better than they did before. And this couldn't be more true for this group. It really couldn't. So I thank you, Presiding Officer, for creating the Women in Public Life campaign and the development scheme. You have enabled and inspired a group of passionate and talented women from every corner in Wales to make their voices heard. I also want to thank all of the mentees and mentors for taking part in the scheme. You're all inspirational, you're all unique women, and I cannot wait to see what happens next in your journeys. I call these women the Whipples, which stands for Women in Public Life, and all I can say now is watch out Wales, the Whipples are coming. So thank you.
So hello, I'm the Director of Executive Education in the Business School, and I like to think that I've achieved quite a lot in my career so far, and it hasn't been easy. So I've always been passionate about any kind of cause that helps the economic development of women. And I saw advertised this exciting scheme, and I thought, I really want the business school to be part of it. And I thought, well, I can't do it on my own. I'm going to have to partner with an organisation that really cares and understands the economic development of women. I knew about Chwarae, so I cheekily sent an email and said, there's this scheme coming up. Could we possibly partner and work on something together and apply, hopefully, be successful in winning this Women in Public Life Development scheme? And it was really exciting. We won the bid. So very, brilliant executive education. I'm working on a programme that I really care about, and it actually fits very well with our business school's strategy. We're the first public value business school in the world. And what we mean by that is we want to be a business school that not only creates economic value, but also delivers in really important social value and contributes back to society. So this programme definitely fits within that agenda in helping Wales be a better place. So I was really excited. I won with Chwarae, this great development scheme. And then it soon dawned on me that it meant 3 whole days of interviews where we met millions and millions of women. And, I've got to be honest, I was a bit scared, and I was heavily pregnant at the time. And I thought, oh, God, I don't know if I can do this. But actually, at the end of every day, meeting and experiencing and hearing all the stories of such fantastic people, I felt so inspired, and I just really felt quite annoyed that I was about to have a baby and depart from the scheme and miss most of it. So really lovely 3 days with Angela, interviewing you all, mentors, mentees, and then fitting you all together. We had that great day in Bilthwells, and then I've got to be honest, I was due to give birth a week later. I didn't quite make the gale force winds walk around the bay, but I hear it was a big success. So I had my daughter, came back after 11 months. My colleagues in the business school, lots of the academics here today, have provided some great academic insight into the development programme, so thank you very much for being part of the scheme. And what was really interesting is the difference that I saw in you as a group in Bilthwells and then you coming back a year later. It was really obvious how well you gelled together and actually how your confidence had grown. So from the early days, we were trying to get some group dynamics and some involvement in the different sessions. It was quite hard to shut you all up, ladies. You were so confident and brimming with ideas, and again, it was a real pleasure to see. So thank you so much for allowing the business school to be part of this development programme. I think we've learned a lot. We've definitely learned a lot from Chwarae. We've really enjoyed working with you on it. And I'm just really thankful that you're providing a better country, a better Wales for my daughter Orla to grow up in. So thanks very much.
And now the scheme wouldn't have been successful without the men and women in senior positions who have kindly agreed to be role shadowed by our mentees over the months. Now, they are too many to thank them individually, but representing them here tonight is Chris Warner, Head of Committee Services at the Assembly, and Chris will just tell us about his experience.
So I volunteered to be shadowed as part of this process, picking up on a theme. I've got 2 young daughters, and they are the future generations the presiding officer was talking about, and I want to make sure that they have opportunities to do whatever they want and succeed in whatever ways they choose. I don't want to be a man standing in the way of progress or even standing by not helping. So I wanted to help out. I'm delighted that Sean Phipps in my team is one of the mentors on the scheme, and that was great, but I wanted to do something myself as well. So I put myself forward to be shadowed. I was a bit worried that I wouldn't be picked. Nobody would be interested in coming to see. I was also a bit apprehensive that I might get found out, that the kind of conclusion would be, who is this useless man and what is he doing? Luckily, Debbie picked me, and we spent a fantastic day where I tried my very best to really demystify the process of working here, what it's like for me to work here, what it's like for members to work here, to also show Debbie with her aspirations, which I find really inspiring, to show her what she would be letting herself in for if she came to be an Assembly member here, because there are demands. There are demands at senior levels, there are demands on politicians in particular in this institution, and it's important that people know what they're letting themselves in for. And I also wanted to give a rounded picture of what a role like mine is like, and the different stresses and strains that members have to deal with as well, and that we have to support them with. So hopefully I did a decent job. I'm sure Debbie will tell you later. As I said, I was inspired by the conversations we had about Debbie's aspirations, and also it was great to have somebody looking at my job and the way I did it and asking me questions about it. And that really brought home to me the importance of having different perspectives within public life at senior level in public institutions, that in order to be really successful, we need to make sure that everyone can contribute to the maximum in senior roles in public life, whatever their gender, whatever their background. And so that really brought home to me the importance of schemes like this in making sure that collectively we contribute to public life.
Thank you very much, Chris. That was really helpful. And I know it is quite, because I had someone shadowing me, several people, and not for long, fortunately, because they wear you out. Ask all these questions and I can't answer them. I think, wow. So you do learn more about your own job and how you take things for granted when actually you think, well, why do I do that? You know, it really was fascinating. But finally, I'd now like to invite Professor Kerry Wood from Cardiff University to say a few words from an employer's point of view. Now, the scheme has been very intensive and has required considerable time commitment from the mentees, often having to take time off from work. And the support of employers has therefore been essential, and I'm sure the mentees couldn't have done it without them. So I would like to thank you very much and ask Professor Wood if she'd like to come and say a few words.
So thank you everyone for inviting me to come and have a chat. I feel like I've been a bit of an outsider in all of this. The first I knew about this scheme was when Kathy came to me and said, there's this thing and I'd like to apply for it, and what do you think? And she'd been talking for a while about wanting to do more stuff outside work in public life, and it seemed perfect, so I was very, very keen to support her to do that. And actually, the rest of it's been quite easy compared to what I think you've put through. So letting her go for a few days is like, fine. Then she comes back and tells me what she's had to do, and I'm like, okay, that was hard work. So you've worked them hard. From my perspective of what I've learnt, I think I've learnt an awful lot by just watching the changes in Kathy. And as I said, her focus has been on doing public work outside work. So in Cardiff University, we put a lot of store on encouraging staff to do projects that contribute to the community within their working environment and within their job. And we do a lot of that. Kathy's interesting because she wanted to do it outside. She wanted to be doing different things that did not relate to the work that she wanted to do. And for me, that's really opened my eyes. So from now on, I'm starting to think about how, as an employer, I can actually support staff to do that more. So not just to make the community contribution and the public engagement more of their working job, but actually how we really help them with flexibility to be able to contribute outside work. Because actually we still gain. So Kathy has gained hugely in work. I can see the changes in her from this scheme, even though her focus has been in engagement in public life outside work. So that for me has been a real big one, for me, a big list on my list of learning to take away and think about how I'm going to make that happen. Because Kathy now is a role model for us. So I head up a centre for the trials in research, so it's a research centre. We've got about 115 staff, and I really am hoping that Kathy will be such a role model that I can see across the board, not just the women, although I think it's very helpful for the women, more people thinking that it's at least okay to start conversations about how their outside work activities might actually be something that we can support as employers and encourage them to drive forward. So that's what I think I've got from outside it. The one other thing I would say, because I realise I'm last and I don't want to talk for too long, the one other thing I have two overwhelming emotions that I personally have seen through this rather than as an employer. One is envy. I think I wanted to be on the scheme. because everything that came back and everything I've heard, and I've been to some of the events here, all just looked so fantastic. I really would have loved to have been more a part of it, and maybe that's something I need to look at going forward. And the other one is actually to reflect on the fact that already Kathy's been a role model for me. So last year, after having been at a couple of things to support Kathy, I signed up to do something else. I kind of thought, hang on, I spend a lot of time working, maybe work-life balance, a bit like Sharon was talking about, and maybe I don't spend enough time contributing back to my community. So I went and signed up to be leading a campaign to save one of our iconic buildings down here in the Bay, and that was my sense of, no, I need to do something. Kathy can do it, why can't I? And so I think envy, and also that sense that she's an absolute role model, and I think you all are for all of us, so thank you.
I'd like to thank you all for your very valuable contributions tonight and the insight that it's given everybody from a different perspective. But what I found when we started off, I had no idea where we were going to end up, but we started off going around Wales and talking to groups of women, all walks of life, from my very famous female farmers, who are not farmers' wives, they are women farmers, right through to people who run the Gypsy Traveller camp in Pembrokeshire. And they felt that somebody was listening to them, and they all came, and they made fantastic contributions to these seminars all over Wales. And then we had the big the conference here, which was really, really good. And people found, you know, their feet. And they're actually organising things themselves now around Wales. So it's really, really good. And I'm hoping that the example we've had here from the professor and her student, or is it the student and her professor? I'm not sure which way around it is. You know, have really now realised that you can make a difference, and you want to make a difference, and it is actually very rewarding when you do go out there and make quite a difference. So now, a very pleasant job is to present some certificates, and they're not very big, but my gosh, they're worth something, these certificates. So I'm going to ask these fantastic women to come up on the stage and receive a certificate. You should get one with your name on. If you don't, say nothing. We'll change it later. Because a number of prize-giving evenings I've been to schools where they've all had their own certificates, and normally people are fine. But the last one I went to, the girl wanted a certificate there and then, and she wasn't going to move until she got it. So, so it does give me great pleasure now to ask people to come and get their certificate. If you'd like to stay on the stage, we'll take a photograph, and then we'll just wrap up the evening. Did you enjoy it? Oh, wonderful. There we are. Thank you very much. For those who can't make the steps, there is a ramp, by the way. The ramp is for me, so it's okay. Who's next? Yeah, Marion Burke. Going to leap up without bothering about the ramp. Well done, good. I hope you enjoyed it. Yes, thank you. Yep. And the next one is Stella Chinamo, or Chinamo? Chinamo. I meet this woman everywhere, I'll tell you. Absolutely everywhere. A friend of mine is the mayoress in Newport this year, and I said, well, why don't you choose a charity, you know, just for you, not the mayor's charity, yours. So what did she do? She chose this young woman's charity, and I've ended up trying to raise money for her charity. I think she ought to raise money for mine, really. Thank you very much. Anna Eckersley. Okay. Right, Lowry Jones. Kathy Lyles. I love you changing your ways of working. That's fantastic. Thank you very much. Good. And Sharon Lovell. Sharon with the shiny shoes. Hi. Well done. Thank you very much. Wow, stage isn't big enough. Catherine Lovecock. Oh, Newcock. It's Catherine Lovecock. No, Lovecock. Oh, Lovecock. All right, we haven't spelled it right. Okay. Anita Shaw. Right, well, I feel we should have certificates for the mentors as well, but I think the fact you sleep at night with a lovely smile thinking I've done something fantastic is wonderful. I'm going to make these girls stand here a bit longer because I would just like to say how important it is for people like these to have someone like you who believes in them more than they believe in themselves. And I think that's what makes the difference. I must say, I've never seen such smiling faces. It's just fantastic. I wish them well. I'm sure they're going to be real stars in the future, and hopefully not too long in the future, because it really is important that you move on now, take Wales by storm.
I feel very honoured and humbled, to stand in front of everyone here today, to say a few words to you, Dame Butler, just to express how grateful we are. Thank you so much for offering us this incredible opportunity to learn, network, and grow as women in a safe and comfortable environment. The scheme has transformed our lives. We have acquired new skills and knowledge. We've made lasting friendships. We've met amazing women, and we've shared personal experiences. We've laughed, we've cried, we've sang, we've had a lot of fun, but above all, we've been motivated, we've been inspired, and we've had personal growth, both professionally and personally. So just as we have been mentored, I am sure we are going to mentor too. As we have been equipped, I have no doubt we are going to empower other women too. So as we climb up the ladder, reaching up to people like yourself, Dame Butler, so too are we going to extend our hand and help other women climb up the ladder too. So although today marks the end of such an exciting program, for many here it is only the beginning of bigger and better things to come. As they say, if you educate a man, you educate an individual, but if you educate a woman, you definitely educate a nation. The Women in Public Life scheme is testament to the importance of having visionary, inspirational women like yourself in leadership positions. In expressing my sincere gratitude to you and all the organizers and the participants, I will end with a poem from Mother Teresa entitled, "Do It Anyway." So people are often unreasonable, illogical, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives, but be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some false friends and true enemies, but succeed anyway. If you are honest and frank, people may cheat you, but be honest anyway. What you spend your years building, someone can destroy overnight. Build anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, they may be jealous, but be happy anyway. The good you do today, people will often forget tomorrow, but do good anyway. Give the world the best you have, and it may never be enough, but give the world the best you have got anyway. You see, in the final analysis, it's really all about yourself and what you believe in, and not about other people. So I strongly believe today that as women, united we stand, divided we fall. So thank you so much, Dame Butler, for this opportunity. We've got a little something for you.